Yes, another compact-ish SUV from an automaker looking to revamp its entire lineup with SUVs. I know what I just said sounds kind of negative, but that's the sad reality that most automakers are facing today, from Volkswagen and other automakers, Buick, I don't know, just all of them are going towards SUVs. And though I may fundamentally disagree with what that means in a number of ways, given that I am a station wagon fan, I've always been and always will be, I must say that some SUVs do stand out from the crowd. You know, something you would read in any brochure or marketing documentation. But in the case of the all-new 2023 CX-50, yes, it's mid-July and I have a cold. That's my life. So that'll happen on a few occasions. Yeah, this one is definitely worth a good look, if mostly to begin with, for the physical aspect of this SUV. Now, despite being very pretty, we'll do the walk around, the usual stuff, and then the drive afterwards, it doesn't seem to be moving as fast as it probably should. In fact, the CX-5 sales so far in 2023 are taking off. This also taking off, but not at the same scale. Okay, maybe percentage-wise it's close, but it's not the same amount of numbers. It's not even close. I think it's 5-1 or something like that, or 4-1 in favor of the CX-5, which is older and potentially, you know, better known. But is it that much of a stretch to go from CX-5 to CX-50? I didn't think so, at least at first. But, oh, and the 2024 pricing has just been announced, so everything's going to be $1,000 more, give or take, for 2024. So if you're shopping for 23, look, it's a great SUV no matter what. Buy it now. It's cheaper if it's still available, of course. Now, there's one thing very specific about this one, this 2023 CX-50, and that is that it's the top trim Meridian. And it's possible that you know exactly what I'm talking about, but you don't recognize it. That's because this Meridian is the base version. It doesn't have everything that makes it the top trim Meridian. Yeah, and I'm pointing at the roof. I'll tell you more about that too in a few moments. But in a nutshell, look, in a segment where you have the RAV4 and all of its versions, the CR-V, the Sportage, the Tucson, the Rogue, I'm skipping over a whole bunch. It's tough to go above and beyond, but Mazda has been working really, really hard to go above and beyond, Tiguan, above and beyond expectations. And with the CX-50, they have managed to do so. But it's still a question of whether or not they're going to convince you to pick it over one of its competitors. Anyway, as we do a quick look on the inside, you'll see what I mean, because this is not just a Mazda, what you expect SUV. This is, yes, it's also the most expensive version, but even so, the layout is the same in all the trims. Yeah, I like it, but I'm a little disappointed because it is the top trim without because it kind of looks a little silly anymore. Anyway, here we go. All right, let's just, before we touch on styling, let's talk about pricing. In the US, the base 2.5S Select is $30,300. Top trim turbo premium plus $43,300. In Canada, base GSL in 2023 is $38,250. If you go to the Meridian, which is this, it's $48,200. Now, included with the GSL, it's still well equipped. I mean, all-wheel drive, the natural aspirated 2.5-liter engine, 17-inch wheels, MI drive with sport and off-road modes, 10.25-inch display with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, power hatch, heated steering wheel. I mean, it's well kitted out. Then from the base GSL, you go to the GT and then the GT Turbo, and then you get to the Meridian. So once you opt for the GT Turbo, to get into the Meridian, it's about $2,500 more. Now, like I said, everything is about $1,000 more expensive for the 2024 model year. And I can't really confirm all these amounts because, lo and behold, I have a cold. But Mazda Canada's builder was down today, so that's just my luck. But what happens when you get to the Meridian? Okay. You get a hood decal. Yes. Headlamp surrounds. Yes. These 18-inch wheels. Yes, not bad. With these Falcon all-terrain tires, which this normally for anything dressed up for off-road I would approve of. And I don't know, it's like a half-arsed effort into making this a slightly more utilitarian and off-road friendly vehicle, though the MI drive selector does add tow mode, not an off-road mode, because it's already standard. Never mind what I just said. I don't know, there's no ground clearance is unchanged, approach and departure angles are unchanged. I mean, you got to put bigger tires, but then that would negatively affect fuel economy, which isn't that great, but not that bad considering the amount of power you get in this model. So what I'm talking about is the Apex package, which includes the roof rails, the massive basket, and some splash guards. And that's also an extra $2,500 bucks. So you could easily spec your 2023 fully loaded with Apex package CX-50 for about $51,000. That's a lot of money, but I mean, just look at it. Look at the wheel flares. I love, oh yeah, and you also get these little faux rocker trim dressing stuff with the Meridian. Look, it's a really attractive vehicle. I love like this Coke bottle, if you will, kind of design where the fenders blister out. It's very attractive. I love the tails. Everything visually is super sorted, and you got to give points to Zircon Sand. It does this body well, quite well, in fact. Let's continue the tour. I mean, it's good looking, but I don't know. I want the roof rack. So standard power hatch, as I mentioned, it's a little slow, admittedly, but it doesn't matter. 889 liters of boot space, which is very usable. Not really any storage under there. My bag's stuck. But very accessible. I like the fact that you can just lower the seat backs from right here. Nice touch. This is family friendly. It's far from being the biggest in the segment, but it's big enough. Speaking of family, yeah, new seats for the kids. They're boosters, but these are like the in-betweeners. Plenty of room in the back, actually. You don't really want to sit 3 across, even as adults, but it works kind of nicely. Oh, and this is also part of the package, terracotta, only with the Meridian. It's actually kind of nice. So here's the attention to detail. Here's what Mazda is selling you now. I mean, lovely padding on the door cards, cross stitching, different textures and materials, but that blend almost seamlessly together. And I do love the controls here. They're very smooth and slick. It's quite nice. See, and the cross stitching carries on through the dash all the way to the other end. The vents, they look great. And the seats, by the way, are very nice. This one has good lumbar support. The Japanese know what they're doing. Very comfortable. Let's just jump on board. And hopefully the music won't blast. I'll turn the volume down again. It is warm today, so I'll turn this on. Okay, so there's your 10.25 inch display, which, as you probably know, with Mazda, it's only touchscreen when the vehicle is not moving, which is annoying, and you kind of get used to it. So, but it's far back. It's not as big as others. It's not as in the forefront. But this is what they wanted. But if you compare this to, say, like a twin screen display in a Sportage or other of its competitors, this looks, with all due respect, cheap-ish. Same with the gauges. I mean, I do like this, but this is like a 7-inch display. Everything else is analog, which I like. This one has the heads-up display included, which is fine, which is great, but there's no pizzazz. But people want things to distract them while they're driving. Mazda doesn't want you to get that, which is why this pod of HVAC controls is so small. But you know what? It's magnificent. Look how clear and legible all the controls are. It's just so straightforward. It's fantastic. Storage is good. Storage is decent. These are the controls. Oh, here's your MI drive selector. So sport, normal, off-road, all that business. Storage, good. Door bins are good. Visibility is okay. I sit close to the steering wheel, so I do get a little bit of an opening here despite the size, the base, and the speaker here. If I was sitting further back, I'd get a better view of the front, but at least there's that. So visibility that way is pretty good. Steering wheel is actually very thin spoke. It's so sporty. It's really, really nice. It's got paddle shifters for the 6-speed automatic transmission, and I think that's enough. So let's go for a drive. All right, so what can I say about the drive? In short, it's very Mazda. AKA, it's very dynamic, very involving, very direct. And I mean, maybe a couple of generations, 3 generations ago, maybe the CR-V was like that. But now even a Sportage or Tucson feels a little bit more involving. Same with the Tiguan. It's still decent, but this CX-50, even the CX-5, is still very relevant when it comes to the driving experience. And this is despite the torsion beam rear suspension, which is spectacular when you think about it. However, I'm not sure if it's the tires, which I expected because it has 60 profile, larger sidewalls. The ride would have been a little bit more forgiving. But all the highway driving I've been doing this week and the city driving, dropping the kids off all over the place, stuff like that, I can feel every nook, cranny. And I'm trying to remember if with the 20-inch wheels on the last CX-50 I drove, the ride quality was this touchy-feely, shaky. Speaking of shaky, if there's a noise in the background, you know what it is. If you've watched 2 or 3 of my videos, it's my tripod. Okay. The biggest compliment I can make to the CX-50, the Meridian, is pertaining to the turbocharged 2.5-liter engine, which we know very well, that is available in nearly all of Mazda's products, is that it's powerful. I stepped out of a 633 pound-feet of torque Mercedes-Benz EQE 500 into this, and I mean, it's nowhere near as fast, but I didn't feel like I'd stepped into a 3-cylinder Mirage, for example. All due respect to the Mirage. They never did give me one, but anyway, that's another story. With 87 octane, it's a 227 HP, 310 torque. If you go all the way to 93, you get 256 HP and 320 torques at about 2,500 RPM as opposed to 2,000 for the 310. But essentially, I mean, that swell, that superb swell of just torque. I mean, the CX-50 is very quick. Absolutely quick. But if you drive it, just a tiny bit aggressive-ish, you're looking at 10 liters per 100 kilometers easy. And that's, despite Mazda saying that on average, you can probably average 9.4, 9.5. But that's the downside of the power, 10, even into 11 liters per 100 kilometers. It's starting to get, up there, but it isn't that crazy again in exchange for the amount of power you get. Though if you do put 93 octane and you're averaging 11 liters per 100 kilometers, that's a lot of dollars going out the tailpipes. Steering is very light. It's very responsive. Assistance is neutral throughout, the whole wind up and unwind. Brake pedal feels great. Basically, even the 6-speed automatic transmission, though, I mean, Mazda is going to replace them eventually. I mean, the CX-90 has an 8-speed, so, things are changing and evolving. I mean, though it's oldish and now, again, short on years in a 6-speed, it's still weird to say, but that's the way we're going. It works phenomenally well. I mean, basically the issue is, for me, with the Meridian, I mean, commit to, an off-road look, an off-road package that just gives you a little bit of a boasting right, because you get all-terrain tires, but, no improvement or increase in anything remotely off-road related. I know. Nobody will take their CX-50, even if it is a Meridian, off-roading. But it's important to be able to say that you could if you wanted to. Look, in the segment, there are a lot of options. I mean, Ford Escape, because Mustang. RAV4, CR-V, Tucson. I'm just trying to look around, jog my memory. CR-V, did I say CR? I think I did. Rogue and all of that. Forester, yes, Forester. There are lots of really, really good choices. And this is definitely among them. But I mean, unless you're shopping for a CRV, this is a bargain. But it's tough to really suggest this one over a RAV4, or even a Forester for that matter. The primary difference being the power and the 6-speed versus the CVT, but CVT is a non-issue anymore. Reliability, I don't know, in my books nowadays, they're pretty much all average at best, even the RAV4. Anyhow, that's it. I really like this thing, but I want more Meridian in the Meridian. Thank you.